Hi, Ben here and welcome back to the workshop. And another day, another Monday, and I'm in the workshop and I'm going to do a little bit of handle shaping today. So I've got a few knives that have got the handles epoxied on. So these have been glued on for a few days now, so the epoxy is nice and cured. So now it's a question of cleaning up all those profiles and actually starting to make it feel and look like a knife handle itself. So I thought it'd be kind of fun for you to sort of join in the journey of turning this sort of ugly lump of wood into something that's going to be functional and beautiful to look at as well. So we'll set the camera up. It might be a bit of time lapse because obviously it's quite a long-winded process, but we thought it'd be a good idea for you to sort of see how I actually go about using my Radius Master grinder in various positions for shaping the handle and getting the rough material knocked off, and then you should be able to see the finished results at the end. So yeah, I'll get my mask on and we can start making some dust. So that's pretty much all the rough grinding done on the Radius Master, and that was a 60 grit belt that I was using to sort of remove all that waste material. And hopefully you can start to see how it's starting to shape up. So I've knocked off obviously the bolts to start with, and then I cleaned up the profile, get rid of all that glue, and obviously get back to a lovely shiny tang all the way around. And then I have been using that 60 grit belt then to shape and put in those palm swells and that nice Coke bottle shape, and then I've just knocked off the sort of the facets really. So already it's starting to feel like a knife in my hand, and to be honest, if you wanted function then that would work, but I don't think I'd be able to sell a knife if it was left as rough as that. So we're going to now use various grinders, and maybe I'll show you my slack belt setup so that I can show you how I just blend that a little bit, and then onto the hand sanding. So this is my slack belt setup using scallop belts, and that'll just allow me to knock off those corners. So move my extractor over, I'll stick my mask on, and we'll just knock a bit of those rough edges off this knife handle. So the next stage, we've done all the rough grinding, and I've got it in my little knife vise now. So it allows me to rotate the knife 360 degrees pretty much. And I like to use this narrow strip of sandpaper, and I can then hand sand it basically and start to blend all those contours even more. The slack belt really does help knock those corners off, but getting in here and doing what we call a bit of shoe shine action really does help. Normally I'd be wearing my respirator, but if I was wearing my respirator you wouldn't be able to hear me, so we're just going to do a little bit of hand sanding just to make sure that we blend all those areas. And I'd go through the grades, start off with maybe a fairly coarse 120 grit, and then work through the grits, 240, 320, and then probably finish off with maybe 600 grit, something like that, and then we'll take it to the buffer. But I'll just do a little bit of that hand sanding. So we've gone through the grits, finished with an 800 grit wet and dry paper, and then the next thing I like to do is make sure I get all the dust out of the lanyard hole. So I actually use a little cotton bud just to clean that out, make sure that all the dust comes out, clean a little bit of that off there as well. And then I actually like to clean the grain down a little bit, make sure all the dust comes out of it. So I actually use a little bit of WD-40, I find that works pretty good on a cloth. And what this does is it cleans out the grain, cleans all the dust out, but it also gives us this little preview of what it's going to look like. So at that stage, if I see any scratches that I've missed from a previous grit, I can then just go back and sort of go over that sort of those scratches with a slightly coarser grit and make sure I get it looking really nice. But having a quick look at this under the lights, I think I've been pretty good and caught all the previous grits. So now it's looking really nice. So this has got black liners in there as well, which really accentuate the grain of this. This is actually Masseur birch, or Carolean birch, whatever you want to call it. But that's looking really nice now. So you've got to be careful when you're working with natural materials, when you've got obviously hardware. These are brass loveless bolts, so you've got to be careful that these don't sort of protrude. That's the advantage of using a slack belt or doing that shoe shine method. You can back it up. I sometimes back it up with a piece of leather. I've got some really stiff Solin bend leather that we use for the welts in the prangs. That works really nicely when you've backed that up with the sandpaper. Back the sandpaper up with that. But yeah, that's coming together nicely. So what I'll probably do now is take it out the vise, take it into the workshop, and I'll just hit it very, very gently on a loose buffing wheel, just to polish up the grain a little bit, and then we can oil it. So we've taken the knife to the workshop and we've hit it on the buffer, so it's got that real nice shine to it. And I've also taken off the sharp edges right near the handle, but left the rest of the spine nice and square, so you can use it with a fire steel or scraping bark and things like that. And this is stabilised Masseur birch, so I've actually just given it a light coating of mineral oil just to bring out the grain and seal it a little bit. But if it was made from unstabilised timber, I would soak it in some finishing oil or some boiled linseed oil for about 24 hours, something like that, so you get a really good durable finish on there. But yeah, that's how we pretty much go about shaping our Woodlander knife handles, or any of the handles on our full tang knives. So hope you've enjoyed seeing this come to life. It's a slightly different style of video. It's a sort of fly on the wall documentary type of video. A little bit tight for space in here, but hopefully you managed to sort of catch the aspects of actually making this knife handle today. And yeah, I've enjoyed doing it, and let us know what you think about it. And remember to subscribe to the channel, because obviously if you want to see more videos like this, you'll be notified when we've got new ones available on our channel. So thanks for watching, and tune in next time.